holding a script of my book. I'm gonna be talking about my book, okay? My book is called The Meaning of Life, and it's a very, very important book if you are interested to know the meaning of your life or of life in general. Now, why am I entitled to talk about the meaning of life more than other people? I am entitled because I am psychic. I'm psychic meaning I connect to the energy of the universe, of spirit guides and stuff like that. So I've got a little bit more sense and information about life, afterlife, before life, why we live and how life works. Okay, so the book is based on my experience, on my knowledge, first-hand knowledge. It's not something that I read about, or I'm not giving you a philosophical argument here about life. Okay, the book is 6 chapters, which is very practical, so it's very simple designed. 6 chapters. The first chapter is about God. Second chapter is about the soul. Third chapter is about life. The soul, like we are going from top to bottom. Like God is just the ultimate, universal, huge, like everything. The soul is the consciousness that descended from God, like energy. And then we've got life. Life is a particular or a specific manifestation of our consciousness. And then chapter 4 is about happiness on the mental level. Chapter 5 is about happiness on the emotional level, and chapter 6 is about happiness on the physical level. Now I look at the human being as mental, like on the top, physical on the bottom, and emotional in the middle. This is more of a like representation, symbolic representation than anything else. Okay, so what do I talk about God? I say that God exists, but it can't be really defined. It's basically beyond our definition or imagination. Everything about the mystery of life is somehow godly, and if that's not enough to feel like whenever you are contemplating the mystery of life, you are basically contemplating the existence of God. Okay, now I'm not saying God is a person here, and from experience I realized that God is not a person and cannot be taken as a person. But let's say God is everything. God is the mystery of the universe. The mystery is very much what God is. You don't communicate directly to God because, as like, you don't talk to the mystery. You don't talk to the universe. When we are communicating as human beings to the universe, we are basically communicating to the spirits that are in the universe, who are ready, accessible to us, communicating with us. Okay, so when you get a sudden amazing intuitive experience that, or intuition that something is going to happen, or intuition that breaks the world into a new discovery, that's coming from spirits somewhere, not like us. They don't have to be like at our level. Okay, good. Now the soul is you are a soul. All right, you are a soul living through a kind of a simulation of this life. In this life, I used to think of the soul as like connecting to the brain or somewhere inside the body. Now I see it differently. It's not inside the body, it's just the witnessing, like the one who is living through the simulation of life. Like it doesn't have to be something physical inside anywhere. Okay. Um, Now I'm not saying anything important now, but yet. But now comes the most important, like the first important piece of information. The soul has got qualities, several qualities. I tend to think about the qualities of the soul as nine qualities, 10 qualities, 12 qualities, something like that. Now, why am I saying not the exact number? Because there is no exact number. It depends how you describe each quality. You can make them seven, you can make them 20. But I know that, for example, like it's very hard to make a list of the qualities of the soul, but I know, for example, that generosity is a quality of the soul. Okay, so people are born either stingy or generous, meaning it's not something that they learn from their parents or anything like that. It's really down to their soul. Now, I'm not saying this doesn't change; it changes, but this means that it changes only when the soul is changing. Now, generosity. I know that, for example, patience and generosity are two different qualities, exclusive, uh, like mutually exclusive. Not mutually exclusive. I mean, independent from each other. You've got some people who are generous but not patient. Some people are patient, not generous. Some people have both. Some people have none. Uh, like those are two. Sometimes people like to think of the quality of the soul as loving or not loving, love and fear, and this kind of philosophy. This is not really how it could be accurately described. Like being able to love is not exactly quality of the soul, but it's similar. Like it is like being having good qualities of soul means that you you would be more able to love and more able to be loved. But love or is not exactly equality of the soul. Now we talked about patience, we talked about generosity. Those are two independent qualities of the soul. What else can I talk about? Like arrogance and modesty. Are you modest? Do you like to feel that you are one with the people, like having this modesty, or do you like to just be superior to people? Or maybe you've got a deficiency in this and you feel always inferior and you feel like the one who needs to cheat on people because you feel inferior. Something like that. Like feeling arrogant, generous, and or being arrogant, being generous, and being patient are three totally independent things. You can be any combination of those. One more, for example, quality of the soul, uh, I would say compassionate. Are you compassionate with people? Now, this feels a little bit like generosity, which could be. It's not totally independent from generosity, but compassion is a little bit different than generosity. Are you compassionate with people? Now, one more thing, one more soul quality. Are you peaceful or are you violent? This is something that souls are born, like the way they are. Like this is not something that comes from how people were raised or how their parents are or how their community is. You can be in the most peaceful community and you get a child, you wonder how violent this child is, how psychopathic is, how. All right, so this is how I explain the qualities of the soul. Once you understand that your soul has got some qualities, you also understand that some of the qualities are deficient. You are deficient in some qualities. For example, I'm deficient. I was deficient in generosity, and though I was deficient in modesty. Like I used to be arrogant, for example, or I was deficient in perseverance. I used to start wanting to achieve something, and then I lack the motivation and self motivation to persevere. Okay, so once you understand that your soul is not perfect, and this is something that you're born with, uh, you understand, but you can change over time. You have started to understand a very important thing about the meaning of life, because when you notice that you deep down is changing yourself, improving your soul. I was arrogant 20 years ago. Now I am more modest. Now I want to feel more like on par or at the same level of everybody else. This is a huge change. Once you understand that this change is possible, and also understand that this change is going to be with you, you are going to take it with you. It's not only that you change the brain, it goes beyond the brain. If it were only about changing the brain, then this life would have no meaning. This whole torture life, painful life, hard life, because life was designed to be hard, was designed so that if you go without eating for one day or for several days, you start feeling weak, you start feeling tired, you start feeling very, very hard, you start feeling pain, your stomach is getting pain. Okay, it is designed so that if you go without able to have a good sleep, a good shelter, a good protection, without, like, there is a lot needed for this life to be all right, and a lot could go wrong. So life wasn't designed to be so easy and simple. Life was designed to be fucking hard, really. Okay, but it's not for no reason. There is a very good reason there. The hard, the tough part pushes you to change yourself. If you're lazy in your soul, then the toughness of life makes you not lazy anymore. At maybe after 20 years, maybe after 50 years. Some people live 70, 90 or 90 years and they don't change much. That happens, but in general, a lot of people change over very slowly but surely. Okay, so this is at the core of the meaning of life. Now I'm talking about the soul qualities. Let's go down to chapter 3 and talk about life. Now this life is not exactly everything we experience in life, in our existence. This life is just an instant in our soul existence. It's the way it is because you or me are at this level of soul evolution. This is what we need. We need a life of, like, some suffering, some sex, some love, some passion, some age-related, health-related things. That's what we need. Okay? It doesn't mean that every life, every time we exist, we are gonna be in this medium of this way of existence. This is one way of existence. Okay? And the good thing about life is that the more you learn in your current life, the easier your next existence will become. If you learn to be non-violent in this life, you will not encounter violent people or violent lessons of For example, you're born in a war zone because your soul needed to learn lessons about the benefit of non-violence. Now, if you learn that fully, 100%, there is no need to repeat it. It will not be repeated in your next kind of existence. It's not going to be on this planet, by the way. I repeat, people who believe in reincarnation and that the soul keep coming back, uh, for me, they got it wrong. It's not the way, from my experience, it's not the way, like I asked my spirit guides so often, like, is this what happens actually in our next life? We come back and so on. They said, no, we don't come back. We just exist in another way of life, not on this earth. Okay, there are so many possibilities out there. There are lives without pain, there are lives without gravities, there are lives without a brain, there are lives without or with things that we never could imagine. Okay, so there is a lot of possibilities there. So good thing here, what I want you to do is to progress in this life and make sure you learn as much as possible and you change your soul as much as possible, because that's gonna make the rest of your existence easier, much easier. Okay, if you're struggling with money, maybe this is the last life you're gonna struggle with money, if you learn what the struggle is teaching you and you change yourself accordingly. Okay, so now that's life. That's what life is about. Once you understand what life is about, your suffering becomes much easier to handle, because if you're suffering and don't know why you're suffering, then it's even worse, right? so, so people who go like for a championship, tracking, running, Olympic games, they are suffering while they are training, but they are suffering and they know what for. They know that it is meaningful. While people in prison and being tortured to do like work, obligatory, compulsive work, being slaved and so on, they are suffering but for no meaning on, like, in their mind. Okay, there is a meaning, soul meaning. At the end of the day, there is always a soul meaning. But if from your perspective you don't know the meaning, it gets harder. All right. So the same amount of suffering is much easier when you are preparing for the Olympic Games, and much harder when you are being tortured in prison and not knowing what you're suffering for. Okay, so this is healing. Healing is part of the healing process is to know why you are suffering or why you have suffered. That will change your life and heal you much more than any other, any pills, any uh, like medication that would just change the chemistry of your brain temporarily or even permanently. The chemistry of the brain is not the healing. The healing is more that you understand what you need to change in yourself through your suffering. Good. Now, chapter 4, chapter 5, and chapter 6 are about happiness. Happiness can be described as three parts: the mental, the emotional, and the physical. The mental happiness is like if you're not happy mentally, you might not be able to sleep. You might be always overthinking and not able to uh, like you might be feeling confused. You might be feeling unable to find uh, solutions or meaning in life, or uh, you might not feel mentally healthy. That's the opposite of mental happiness. Okay, mental happiness means you are uh, you have reached this wisdom of knowing that everything is all right, okay? That everything has got a meaning. Emotional happiness, this has to do with the traumas that you have accumulated inside your tissues and body. Okay, they make you feel agitated, they make you feel maybe extremely angry inside, but you hold it a lot. They make you feel like very nervous. They make you feel tense. You might have some like this neck tension, neck pain, and so on. That's all emotional unhappiness or emotional stuff, baggage that needs healing. The healing here, this is chapter 5. The healing is about releasing or purging through a cathartic process. Now, catharsis has got a bad reputation recently just because psychology doesn't like it so much. They think if you cry and express your emotions 100% freely, you might go crazy or you might do harm to yourself and so on. This definitely could happen, but if the catharsis process is done in a safe way, it's very, very healing. And I don't know of anything that could heal people emotionally, like deeply emotionally, if it's not catharsis. Like catharsis could take many forms. You could be talking to someone and you start tearing up and sobbing and so on. That's also catharsis. You could be, there are those smashing rooms or anger rooms, or there are screaming rooms and curse rooms. I've heard that somewhere in California they've started a new business called curse rooms. Like you enter the room and you start cursing, nobody can hear you, so you can do whatever amount of cursing you want, and this is healing. It's actually, yeah, it actually do something good to you if you've got anger and you curse a lot. If you haven't got anger, then cursing would be a little somehow annoying to you. Like it would not feel good for you. So catharsis is has got to be natural, so to be healing, and this is basically emotional happiness. Now, physical happiness, when it comes to physical happiness, we all know about like exercises, we all know about good movement, we all know about good sitting properly, eating properly, good um, like we all know this stuff, and we also know that genes affect our health, and basically physical happiness is more related to the medical stuff than uh, than the other things like the mental and the emotional happiness. Sometimes you could argue that mental and emotional happiness are the specialties of psychologists, but somehow uh, psychologists don't do a good job in this and don't so that's why I didn't like to mention psychology so much in my book. Now, physical happiness is important because whatever you feel in yourself as pain is actually um, like teaching you to be more compassionate with others who have got pain or similar physical pain. Okay, this is one part of what physical pain teaches us. And the other part could be modesty, like if you are very arrogant and you are not arrogance and compassion are closely related. So if you don't have the compassion and you've got too much arrogance, then expect a lot of physical pain in this life, because whenever you have like really hard physical pain, your arrogance goes to zero immediately, and immediately you start thinking, oh God, I just don't want to be anything big, or I surrender to you. Now, you might be talking to God, you might be talking to the person who is torturing you. Pain makes you surrender, and surrendering is somehow a lesson in modesty, a lesson of non-arrogance. Also, it's a lesson of non-violence, because when you feel pain in your body, you tend to just find it hard to be violent with other people as well. Now, this is my book. This was my book, and here's the last quote of my book. At the end of the day, once you understood that the only thing that counts in life is the amount of learning we acquire, all the pessimistic views about the injustice of life would evaporate. We are not here to heal the earth. We are not here to create the ideal political system. We're not here to save the planet. We are not here to save the people who are suffering wars and none of that. We are here to improve ourselves. Now, it doesn't harm if while you are also healing yourself and improving yourself, you are also helping other people. It doesn't harm, but helping other people or healing the planet is not really the purpose of life. Otherwise, it means that if everybody dies, then life didn't have any meaning. Like the whole life happened for no reason. Then, all right. So it's not like that. Good. So God is great, and therefore life was created to be great, even when we don't understand how. All right. So God is not stupid. All right. God, like some people, or we tend to believe that God is angry somewhere and angry at all this injustice that's happening in the world. Or sometimes we tend to think that God doesn't exist, because if God existed, then God would have like fixed a lot of injustice in this world. It's not this way. All right. All the injustice is actually part of our learning process. Life is not about justice. Evolution, for example, is not about justice. When a lion eats a cat, for example, or whatever, I don't know. A lion eats a cow. It's not because the lion is not being like fair with the cow, or that God is not being fair. No, the evolution is like if the lion can eat the cow, or if the cow becomes faster, right? So that the next generation of cow, the evolution of the cow, should be faster so that they can survive the lion attacks. And if the lion cannot eat the cow, then he would starve to death, because weak lions should not survive. So the next generation of lions would become stronger so that they can eat the cow. Okay? So life is not about justice. Life is about evolution. We are evolving as souls. And without problems, without hardship, without injustice in the world, nobody would improve anything in their soul. Okay, so that's what it is. And that's exactly the meaning of life. Good, guys. My book will be available soon. Uh, Stay tuned. I'll be announcing when it comes out on Amazon. All right.